All right, so we're gonna start in a few minutes. Let's just wait for a few more people. Maybe if when we reach 10, we can start. So, all right, I think we already have 10 viewers. So, let's start. Good day, everyone. I am Mind Mover Megan, one of the science communicators and resident scientist from the Mind Museum. So, I'm welcoming you all to another installment of Mind at Home. So, Mind at Home is an online series provided by the Mind Museum that creates very easy to do experiments with materials we can all find at home. So you can do this with your friends and family. So we can start. So for the previous months, the country and the rest of the world has been going through some difficult times with the pandemic, and the preventive measures that were applied has certainly kept all of us at home. So this prevents us from going about our normal routine, which may cause some stress and anxiety to some. Because of this, the United States Center for Disease Control and Prevention is actually encouraging everyone to do activities that may help alleviate the stress and the anxiety of the situation. So these activities could be your hobbies, it could be cooking, or maybe even working out. So anything to keep your mind off of things. So the Mind Museum offers Mind at Home as an alternative for this, which can help us have fun and continue learning at the same time. So we can all do these Mind at Home activities to go through the situation together. So of course, everyone needs to continue to do their part in helping slow down the spread of the disease by staying at home. And if you really need to go outside, certainly keep the social distancing protocols. And of course, remember to wash your hands as frequently as possible in running water and soap for at least 20 seconds. So just like the previous Mind at Home sessions, this experiment will be very easy to do and the materials will be very easily accessible. Some may be, most may be even already at your homes. So for today's experiment, what we're gonna do is turn this raw egg into a rubber bouncy egg. So all we're gonna need is, of course, the egg, a container. So as much as possible, you have to find a clear container so you can see the reaction happening inside, and of course some vinegar. So what we need to do to get started is we just put the egg carefully inside the container, carefully so as not to crack the egg, and then pour some vinegar inside the container until the egg is completely submerged. So right away, actually, if you do this at home, you can actually already see bubbles forming around the eggshell. But if you can't see it clearly now, I've already prepared a setup beforehand where the bubbles have already accumulated. So if you let it set for a few hours, for a few minutes, it's actually, you can see the bubbles forming and some has already accumulated on top of the eggs. So there, if you can see the foam, those are the bubbles that has accumulated. So if you wait a few hours, so what you're gonna end up is something like a rubber bouncy egg. So to show you that it's really gonna end up bouncing, so this is the egg. You can see that it's squishy, and you can see if you look at it from a light source, with a light source, you can actually see that it's a bit translucent, and if you move it around, you may be able to see the yolk moving inside. So this is our rubber bouncy ball. So to show you that it bounces, right there. So to explain what really happened, we need to take note of two very important observations. So the first one is that after a few hours, the eggshell has been completely dissolved. So this rubber bouncy ball is not covered in eggshell anymore. You can see that it's just covered by a very translucent thin membrane, which keeps the egg together, and that you saw the bubbles forming earlier. So the second observation is that if you compare the rubber bouncy ball with an egg that hasn't been submerged in vinegar, you can actually see that it has grown quite a bit in size. It might be more observable if you do it in person, but it has grown quite a bit in size. It's a bit larger. So those are the two important observations for this experiment. So what actually happened is that there was a reaction that went on with the eggshell and the acid. So eggshells are actually composed of a substance called calcium carbonate, which when exposed to acid, which in this case is acetic acid, it actually dissolves. So that dissolution process creates certain byproducts, which includes carbon dioxide. So those are the bubbles that you saw earlier, the foam that accumulated. That's the carbon dioxide forming because of the dissolution process. So after leaving it for a few hours, the acid completely dissolved the calcium carbonate shell, leaving us with the rubber bouncy egg. And then the second observation is that the egg became a bit bigger and firm. So this happened because the translucent film that was left after the eggshell has been completely dissolved is actually a semi-permeable membrane. So what does that mean? So a semi-permeable membrane is just a membrane that lets certain materials pass through. So the egg grew a bit in size because of a process called osmosis. So what is osmosis? So osmosis is just a process of solvents going through, coming from an area of high concentration, which in this case is the outside of the egg, going to an area of a lower concentration, which is the inside of the egg. So the vinegar in this case passed through the semi-permeable membrane and penetrated and permeated to the egg, which caused it to grow a bit in size. So just to demonstrate again that we ended up with a bouncy egg. I can show you. Alright. So maybe you can all try this at home, and to make things more interesting, to make things a little more fun and interesting, maybe you can try adding food coloring to the vinegar you're going to use, so you can see if it stains. That may demonstrate the process of osmosis better. You can see that it might stain the inside of the egg. And be sure to observe the how translucent the thin layer is, and you can see the egg yolk moving around. Oh, and also, of course, this is not real rubber. It's not hard. So if you bounce it from enough height, it might break. So just be mindful of that. We don't want to make a mess. Alright, so I think that's it for today's experiment. I'm just gonna stand by for some quick questions. So I think we have a question. Oh, so we have a question. It says, what are the bubbles composed of? So as I said earlier, it's composed of the carbon dioxide that formed from the dissolution process of the calcium carbonate eggshell by the acetic acid. And then, oh, I use raw eggs. So we can actually use, of course, we can use the hard-boiled eggs, but to not waste food, we can also just use eggshells. So maybe if you had eggs for breakfast this morning, you can use the eggshells from that, and from that you can still observe the reaction of the calcium carbonate eggshells with the acetic acid. It's still gonna show the bubbles. Does it stink? It smells like vinegar. It's just gonna smell like vinegar. After leaving the egg for a few hours, it didn't smell like rotten eggs. Unfortunately, I discourage cooking the egg after, because the vinegar has already permeated inside. It might not taste good if you cook it. So I think I am not getting any more questions, but if you do have questions later, if you watch this, you can just leave them in the comments down there and we will answer it after the live broadcast. So that's it for today's demonstration. I hope you all enjoy that, and I hope you try that at home. So make sure to follow the Mind Museum in this Facebook page to stay updated with the next Mind at Home sessions. And just a quick reminder to do our part, continue doing our part in helping slow down the spread of the disease. Stay at home, maintain social distancing, and wash our hands. So I'm gonna stand by for maybe a few more questions. Alright, so I think that's it for today. I hope you all enjoy that, and see you in the next installment of Mind at Home. And thank you everyone, and have a great day.